Life can feel like a gentle stroll on a sunny day. The path is clear, the birds are singing, you know where you are going. Then, without warning, the sky darkens. A sudden storm rolls in, and the path you knew so well disappears beneath a flood of uncertainty. One moment, you are walking with confidence, and the next, you are lost, disoriented, and soaked by the rains of disappointment. The job you loved is gone. The relationship you treasured has ended. A doctor gives you news you never wanted to hear. The future you had meticulously planned has crumbled, leaving you standing in the middle of a mess you did not create and do not understand. This is the place of discouragement. It is a lonely valley where hope seems to be a distant memory, a forgotten language. The questions begin to echo in your mind. Where did I go wrong? Why is this happening to me? You search for a sign, a map, any indication of which way to turn, but all you see is the fog of your present circumstances. It feels as if you have been abandoned, left to fend for yourself against the harsh winds of change. This feeling of being utterly lost is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. It drains your strength and whispers lies that you are all alone in this struggle, that no one sees your pain. In these moments, it is easy to believe that your story has taken a wrong turn, that you have somehow wandered off God's map for your life. You look back at the sunlit path you once walked, and wonder if you will ever find your way back to that place of peace and clarity. The weight of the unknown presses down, making each step feel heavier than the last. You might even feel a sense of betrayal, a quiet ache in your heart that wonders if God has forgotten your name or lost your address. The silence from heaven can feel deafening when your heart is screaming for a rescue, for just a glimmer of light in the darkness. But what if this detour is not a mistake? What if the storm was not sent to destroy you but to redirect you? It is a difficult thought to hold on to when you are shivering in the cold, but it is a vital one. Perhaps this bewildering season is not the end of your story but a crucial, albeit painful chapter. God often does his most profound work in the places we feel most lost. He uses the storms of life not to drown us but to wash away what we thought we needed so he can give us what we truly need. The path may have vanished from your sight, but it has not vanished from his. In the middle of our confusion there is a powerful truth at work. It is the idea of the unseen hand of God. This is not a loud, dramatic intervention that parts the seas before our eyes. More often it is a quiet, steady presence working behind the scenes of our lives, orchestrating events in ways we cannot possibly comprehend at the moment. It is the gentle whisper in a whirlwind, the subtle nudge in a different direction, the unexpected provision that appears just when we need it most. God is a master weaver, and our lives are his tapestry. From our perspective, all we can see are the tangled threads and messy knots on the underside, but he sees the beautiful picture he is creating. Think of it like a skilled carpenter building a house. He works with wood and nails, dust and noise. To an onlooker who knows nothing of blueprints, the process might look chaotic. Planks are cut, walls are framed, and for a time it is just a skeleton of a structure exposed to the elements. It doesn't look like a home yet, but the carpenter has a plan. He sees the finished room, the sturdy roof, the welcoming door. He is not making random cuts or hammering nails without purpose. Every action is a deliberate step towards the final, beautiful creation he has envisioned. Our lives are much the same in his hands. The unseen hand of God does not mean our troubles will magically disappear. It means that even within our troubles, God is at work for our ultimate good. He is the God who brings strength out of weakness, hope out of despair, and life out of death. His work is often hidden from our view because our vision is limited by our pain and our present circumstances. We see the closed door, but he sees the new one he is about to open. We feel the sting of the pruning, but he sees the beautiful fruit that will grow as a result. Trusting in his unseen hand is an act of faith. This is a faith that says, I don't understand what is happening right now, but I trust the one who does. It is a quiet confidence that even when we feel forgotten, we are held. Even when we feel directionless, we are being guided. God's presence is not determined by our ability to perceive it. He is always there, working, moving, and shaping our story. The silence we experience is not a sign of his absence, but an invitation to listen more closely, to lean in and trust that the master carpenter knows exactly what he is doing with the raw materials of our lives. He is building something beautiful. The Bible is filled with stories of God's unseen hand at work. These are not just ancient tales, they are powerful reminders that our struggles are not new and that God's faithfulness is timeless. Consider the story of Joseph. His life was a series of devastating blows, one after another. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into a foreign land. Just when things seemed to be looking up, he was falsely accused and tossed into a prison, forgotten and left to rot. From Joseph's perspective, in that dark, damp cell, his life was over. All his dreams had turned to dust. Where was God in all of this? He was there. He was always there, working silently behind the scenes. Every single act of betrayal and injustice was a thread God was weaving into a masterpiece of redemption. The pit, the slave market, the prison, these were not detours from God's plan. They were the very path God used to place Joseph in a position of power in Egypt. Years later, when Joseph came face to face with his brothers, he did not see them as his destroyers. He saw them as instruments in a much larger story. He told them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Then there is the story of Esther, a young Jewish woman living in exile. She was an orphan, an unlikely candidate for greatness. Yet through a series of seemingly coincidental events, she became the Queen of Persia. Her story could have just been a fairy tale rise to royalty, but God had a greater purpose. When a wicked man named Haman plotted to annihilate all the Jews, Esther found herself in a unique position to save her people. Her uncle Mordecai reminded her, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" She was placed in the palace for a purpose she never could have imagined. In the entire book of Esther, the name of God is never once mentioned, not once. And yet, his fingerprints are all over the story. His unseen hand moved a king to have a sleepless night, prompted him to read the royal chronicles, and guided Esther to approach him at just the right moment. The story of Esther is a perfect illustration of how God orchestrates events behind the curtains of human history and personal lives. He works through ordinary people, unlikely circumstances, and quiet timings to bring about his extraordinary plans. Her story and Joseph's echo through the centuries to reassure us, what looks like chaos to you is a divine appointment in the making. So how do we learn to trust this unseen hand when our world feels like it is falling apart? Well, it begins with small, deliberate acts of faith. One of the most powerful things we can do is to start looking for the small blessings, the tiny footprints of grace in our day. It might be an unexpected phone call from a friend just when you felt most alone. It could be a moment of peace in the middle of a chaotic day, or a stranger's kind smile. These are not mere coincidences, they are whispers from God, little reminders that He has not forgotten you. They are His way of saying, "I am here, I see you." Another step is to learn to embrace change and detours as potential guidance from God. Our first reaction to an unexpected change is often resistance. We want to get back to the familiar path, the comfortable routine. But what if that closed door or that sudden detour is God's protection or redirection? Instead of fighting against the current, try to ask God, "What are you trying to teach me in this? Where are you leading me?" This shift in perspective can transform a frustrating obstacle into a sacred opportunity, a chance to see God's hand guiding you towards something better than you had planned for yourself. Patience is perhaps one of the most difficult yet essential parts of this journey. Waiting is hard. It feels unproductive and agonizing, especially when you are waiting for a breakthrough or for a prayer to be answered. But waiting is not a passive activity, it is an active trust. It is in the waiting rooms of life that our faith is deepened and our character is forged. Trust that God's timing is perfect. He is never in a hurry, but He is always on time. Use the season of waiting to draw closer to Him, to fill your mind with His promises rather than your fears. He is working while you are waiting. Finally, make it a habit to remember. Keep a record of God's faithfulness in your past. Think back to other difficult times you have faced. How did God provide for you then? How did He bring you through? Write these memories down in a journal. When a new storm hits, you can open that journal and read the evidence of His past help. These memories become your anchors of hope. They are solid proof that the God who helped you before will help you again. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Remembering His past faithfulness fuels your trust for the future. In the end, our journey of faith is a journey of trust. It is a commitment to believe in a God who is always good, even when our circumstances are not. It is easy to have faith when the sun is shining and the path is smooth. The true test of our trust comes in the darkness, in the silence, in the seasons where God feels distant and his plan is a mystery. It is in these moments that we are invited to walk by faith, not by sight, holding on to the promise that his unseen hand is securely holding ours. You are not alone in this, you have never been alone. The God of Joseph and Esther is your God too. The same hand that elevated a prisoner to a palace and positioned an orphan to save a nation is at work in the details of your life. He sees the bigger picture, the beautiful masterpiece he is creating from the tangled threads of your pain, your confusion, and your hope. Your current struggle is not the final chapter of your story. It is simply a part of the narrative he is writing, a narrative that ultimately leads to redemption, purpose, and a deeper relationship with him. He is working all things together for your good. So, take a deep breath. Let go of the need to understand everything right now. You don't have to have all the answers, you just need to trust the one who does. Look for his small graces today. Embrace the detours, be patient in the waiting. Remember his faithfulness. These simple acts will build a foundation of trust that can withstand any storm. Hope is not found in the absence of trouble, but in the presence of God. And he is always present, even when he is unseen, quietly working, guiding, and preparing you for what is to come. Do not lose heart. The clouds may be dark, but the sun is still behind them, waiting to break through. Your heavenly Father is in control. He loves you with an everlasting love, and he has a good plan for your life. Trust his unseen hand. He will guide you through this storm and lead you to a place of peace. You will get through this, not because you are strong enough, but because he is. He is your guide, your provider, and your unwavering hope in the silence. Trust him. Don't forget to subscribe to stay connected.